could go on an entire tangent about Asian mothers.
Oh, you and me both. You and me both. I love her to death. She's my best friend, but like, oh, you know it. you know it all. There's no way to describe it unless you've experienced it.
Yeah,
There really
dude.
isn't.
They don't know, man.
They really don't know.
They don't know,
They
dude.
really don't know. Like when I'll talk to friends and I like with the long text message essays, like they like look at it and they're like, "Who's texting you?" My mom. Like, is she mad at you? I'm like, no. Like, what do you mean no? It's like she's telling me off, but like in a nice love, like you need to do this, this, and this, or she'll like I watched your match. ... And then there's like a whole essay of things to do. So yeah, it's all to help me get better and stuff. But yeah,
it's the toughest freaking love.
It's tough love.
Yeah, that's why it's tough to hang out with like Caucasian people because they just don't know.
They just don't know.
Yeah, they're like, "Yo, are you guys okay?"
No, it's
like,
so
this
true.
is just every day.
This is just every day. You get used to it. They really don't understand.
Yeah, it's like you haven't seen my pill cabinet with all my antidepressants.
Yeah, or like I'll like talk to people or like, why don't you just tell your mom no? I'm like, that's not how this works. No. Wait, what? No.
Dude.
No is a word in the vocabulary you can say to your mother.
Dude, my mom didn't know about my tattoos till I was like 28.
I'm not surprised.
Dude, I was trying to get my ass beat. I was still a fighter then, and I still didn't want to get my ass beat.
She doesn't care you're 28. She's still gonna do it.
Yeah, dude, she'll get that frying pan out.
Oh yeah, she will. Same with my mom.
I didn't even live with her at the time, but she would still beat my ass.
Oh, same. My mom, even when my grandmother was still alive, she'd always joke. She's like, the one time I knew I could get away with murder, it's because the Asian grandmas will always spoil their grandson.
Yeah.
So I could get away with anything, because then she'd tell my mom off, and my mom would always still listen. So it always worked that way. I could get away with whatever I want.
There's some checks and balances
I'd be
going
like,
on.
I want to go watch TV. I want to do this. I want candy. Oh, I got everything.
Oh,
anything.
yeah, dude.
Also, the red envelopes. Red envelope. Vending machine.
It's not even New Year's.
Yeah, red envelope vending machine. I could get away with whatever I want. Like, I was like, I want to go to the mall and buy like new clothes or something. My mom would like glare at me as I asked my grandmother, and she knows it. And then she's like, go take him to the mall. Go buy him what he wants.
Yeah.
And she just does it. And it's like I always look forward to those flights home to Toronto every summer, because it was the one time I knew I could actually win. I was like, gotta get grandma on my side.
Damn.
But yeah,
damn.
the Asian mother effect is for the rest of our lives.
Dude, it's being carried on generations.
For generation
dude,
to
the
generation.
trauma. These people don't know, dude.
They don't know. The white people don't. They can't relate.
Shout out to the Asians.
Exactly. I went to Chinatown yesterday because Kwong gave me a restaurant.
Oh.
I feasted by myself, and I was like, $30. I had like some dim sum. I had crispy chow mein.
Did you go to Lotus of Siam?
No, it's called New Asian Barbecue.
New Asian Barbecue?
Yeah.
How far is it from here?
It was like a 10-minute Uber.
Oh,
It was
okay.
good.
Damn.
Yeah, and then there's boba right next door.
Oh,
I hit
okay,
that
dude.
For dessert.
Yes.
And they brought out like free like oxtail soup to begin with, like mango pudding at the end, all in the house. Like those like my favorite stuff. Like that's the stuff like my grandma used to make. Like,
damn.
So I was like, holy! I'm like, they hit all the bases.
Dude, okay, I need to remember that.
I can send it to you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we don't have a lot of good like Chinese spots in Austin.
Same with Dallas. There's
Oh, really? So is it like all in Houston?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Like all Houston, like. Yeah, I feel like the Asian food's not like hitting yet.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe eventually.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
What are your parents?
My mom's Chinese, and then my dad's white.
What's your dad?
He's
like, dude, I've never seen like a 6'4" Chinese guy.
Or so he's half just like American, and then my grandpa on his side, he was Dutch. So that's
okay,
probably,
that makes sense.
But
dude.
I also just say it's those good Asian height genes.
Yeah, dude, give me some of that, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like 5'8".
The northern China height genes.
Anyways, dude, how was? All right, so this is day 2. This is day 2, right, for you guys,
Yes,
right?
day 2.
Okay, how was day 1?
Day 1 was rough. Day 1 was not how I expected to go. I mean, had a tough one in mixed. Played a Hunter in Paris. I mean, they're one of the best teams. I think their ranking isn't as high as it should be yet, but I mean, in my opinion, they're a top 5 team in mixed. So like, I mean, I like them both to death. They're both really good people, and yeah.
Yeah.
But that was just a tough draw.
Yeah, I hear the same thing. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, singles had a tough one. I was close, lost 8-11 in the third, but got myself in a little bit of a hole going down 0-9 in the third. But then
You were 0-9?
Yeah, I was 0-9.
Dude, that comeback was legit.
Yeah, I was 0-9 and I got, I think, 8-9, and then yeah, let it slip away.
What happens in that moment to for you specifically?
When I was down 0-9.
That, and then also like the thought behind like letting it slip away.
I mean, letting it slip away is it's not easy, but it happens. Like you just kind of accept, like, I mean, I put myself in the hole to begin with, so it's like you're playing at that point with nothing to lose, because I mean the odds are you're not coming back. But like I always think the hardest part about a match is to close it out. So that's what I just kept telling myself. It's like it's a lot easier to get there than get over the finish line. And like he played really good at all of the third, getting to there, and then he got a little tight, and I started to take advantage. And then I mean, I missed easy volley. He came up with a couple of good shots, and then that's just how the chips fell.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, that was super cool to watch though. Man, it's going to be hilarious that you're playing with Julian Arnold, because I don't know anyone else who talks as much to themselves on the court than Julian, and it's you. Like
that is true.
That was the first time I saw that. I was like, dude, this guy's saying come on in like 3 different languages.
Yeah. I do a lot of self-talk. I'm just like always, it kind of helps keep my mind from like wavering. Like growing, like in tennis, you have so much time between points, it feels like. Where pickleball, it's a lot less. But like I used to even do it in tennis more, because that's the only way to stay focused. Because if I just stayed quiet, I felt like walking your towel the whole 25 seconds between points. Like your mind could go to all these different things, like think, oh, why am I losing to this guy? Or like, oh, don't choke. Like there's so many different variables depending on how the match is going, where if you just keep constantly talking or repeating like similar strategy plans, like keep working his backhand, or like saying come on, it feels easier to stay like locked in.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like when you're performing, you want to have like somewhat of a vault.
Yeah.
You don't want like external thoughts or words like intrude your space, because you just want to like, in a way, it's like you're almost like creating like a mantra.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. It's creating like a mantra like during the match.
Yeah.
Just like stay focused and locked in.
Yeah, damn, that's interesting. And then you talked about tennis. I know you were a D1 tennis player at UCLA.
Yeah.
Dude, like I didn't play tennis, and there's probably a decent amount of people in the pickleball space who came from a tennis background or know how difficult the road is. So like, how hard was the journey to even get to D1, not just D1 but also UCLA?
I mean, it was tough for sure. I mean, growing up, it's hard to say because it was all I knew. Like growing up, I started playing tennis around 10, 11, like a little on the later side. So I like had to do a lot more, like to catch up to a lot of these guys who started at like 6, 7. Some even started, like my best friend started at 5.
Yeah.
Like so, but at that point, no one's really taking it that seriously yet. So it's still feasible to catch up. Yeah, it's just playing tournaments a lot of travel, a lot of tournaments, and yeah, I mean, you to an extent don't have a ton of a social life. I was lucky where I was still able to go to like normal middle school, high school, because a lot of the top juniors, they all go online school or go to like boarding academies for tennis. But it was nice. My parents were pretty adamant, like, no, you're doing normal school, you're gonna have a normal life. And because my dad's philosophy always was, I want tennis to get you into a better school than you'd get into normally academically. So, I mean, it worked out. UCLA is a top 15 school, I think, in the country right now. So yeah. I can guarantee you, I know the people in those classes, I am not as smart as them. But I could hit a forehand, so it got me in.
Whatever works.
Exactly.
Dude.
I was like, I'm definitely not as smart as you at math, but I could probably hit a forehand to the level that you can do calculus or something. That's what I always tell myself.
That was math on the court.
Yes. Exactly.
Damn.
Yeah, it's really complicated counting from 15 to 30 to 40 and then love.
And you gotta add words too.
Exactly, you gotta add words. It's algebra, it's numbers, it's all of it.
Yeah, I know. So I remember seeing you like playing, and I was also like, dude, this dude's massive. He's like a huge serve. He also was like, I don't know anyone else rocking LA gear.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, I felt like LA gear was like always this retro vibe, but back then it didn't seem like it was retro to a degree. It was like, damn, this just looks dope.
Yeah.
And then I like would see you on the courts and just see you on the footage and the live stream. Was like, who is this dude? And then I saw Pickle Burner Tony Shea, I think is his name. He had that video of you where you guys were like playing and have like, it was like a kitchen conversation.
Oh yeah, I love Tony.
Yeah, and I was like, who is this dude? And it was cool to hear that. But like one thing that stood out was when you talked about how the transition from tennis to pickleball, and obviously you're not the only one to talk about how difficult tennis is to go pro. And I think there's like no shame in going to a sport where you have a higher degree. There's like a higher degree of certainty that you can be successful. It's like, I think it's work smarter, not harder. Yeah. But what has that transition been like to pickleball?
I mean, it's in the last little bit, it's definitely become easier because I feel like I'm finally figuring out the soft game. But for a while, it was pretty tough where I think every tennis player coming in comes in pretty cocky and confident, and they think, oh, this is pickleball, it's going to be easy. Like, truth be told, that was me. Like, my first ever pickleball tournament, I had probably been playing for a week before. And I said, oh, I'm going to go play pro. And I was thinking, and I was talking to my friend who was ex-tennis player and playing pro pickle. I was like, yeah, I'll probably make a quarters. And then he was like laughing. He's like, dude, you're not going to make out qualifying. And then lo and behold, I didn't. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I'll probably make a quarters.
But you went straight to pro, right?
Yeah,
you
did? Straight.
That's dope.
Yeah, I've first one was pro qualies. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the transition, obviously you have a lot of the fundamentals. Singles comes easier. Like you can hit a ground stroke. Hitting big serves is a lot easier for tennis players because it's just a repeatable motion that we've been doing for so long. But there's nothing in tennis that's similar to hitting a dink or a drop. So like stuff like that, you almost have to rewire your brain to be like, wait, it's a dink is the rally ball of pickleball. That's how I think of it. Versus like, you should be, an analogy people used to tell me in tennis was a rally ball, you should be able to do it with your eyes closed, hungover at whenever time, and be able to make 1,000 of them. Like every forehand, every backhand. Versus pickleball, like I was hard pressed to make 30 dinks in a row for a while. Now I'm starting to get better, but like if you told me to make 30 forehands in a row cross, I could probably not now. I've touched a tennis racket like twice this year, but before that, I felt like that would always be kind of like the baseline.
Yeah. What advice would you have for tennis players that are transitioning into pickleball?
Advice is, I would say, focus almost solely at first on the kitchen game and drill. Like, if you play at a higher level of tennis, you know how to compete. And that's not what you need to worry about. And you really just need a lot of reps on the stuff you've never done. You can hit good drives, you can hit good serves, you know how to return, all that stuff, but you don't know how to hit drops and dinks. That's like, and then the strategy.
Yeah.
Strategy will come. You just got to play more and see a lot of matches and see a lot of balls, and you'll figure it out. But yeah, drilling like the soft game is the biggest thing for sure.
As far as strategy, what was something that you were learning early on in strategy versus what you're learning now in strategy in pickleball?
I think strategy before in pickleball was always, I'd say I wanted to shake and bake a lot. I'd be like drive and crash, shake and bake almost every point because it felt more like doubles tennis.
Yeah.
It was a lot more high action, and that was also what was fun to me. Was what drew me to pickleball was the hands battles and that kind of, like, I always thought when I'd watch pickleball before I started, I was like, oh, the dinking's so boring, I'm never going to do that. And then there's really no way around it. Like, it's starting to become less dinking now in the game, but I don't think it'll ever fully go away. But yeah, I'd say that's kind of the main thing.
Yeah. And obviously now you're transitioning well, like you're playing all three divisions, but also like today you're going to be partnering up with Julian Arnold.
Yeah.
And like Julian's as a doubles player, maybe top 10. I'm not entirely sure, but he's up there, right?
No, totally.
Yeah, so like you've earned this like opportunity in the position that you're at. Like if we're looking at where you're at now, what are you struggling with as far as pickleball? Because you talked earlier about kitchen game was one of the transitions. But yeah, what are you kind of working on now or struggling with now?
Without telling people how to beat me, no, the first thing, it's still kind of the same things. It's soft game, always. I feel like that can always get better. Like if you look at the best players, whether it's Ben, Federico, all of them, they're so comfortable up there that they're never in doubt up at the kitchen line. And it's like they can attack from pretty much any spot at the kitchen. They make the right decisions. So it's a lot more of also watching film now and like making the right decisions. Because now I feel like I've done a good job practicing and trying to be able to at least hit every shot. Not as well as the top guys yet, which is still something I got to work on. But now knowing when to implement it and like, okay, like that's the time you speed up down the line. That's the time you reset. Or like little things are like, oh, see that ball out of the air, that's a reasonable ball to maybe look for a flick if you go at the right hip or something. Like little things I wouldn't think about before, where it was see ball high, you rip it, or like see ball, hit ball, which is a lot more like caveman thinking. Yeah.
In doubles, gender doubles, do you play left or right?
Usually both. I'd say I used to like left a lot more, but I think recently I've definitely become a lot more comfortable. I can like the right side better. It's definitely, I think people always tell me because I'm like big, like at 6'4", like, no, you should play the left because your forehand's in the middle, you can cover more space. But I feel like I kind of like the right. It is a simpler rule, but like now that you're starting to see people be offensive for the right, it's a different look where like I've played with partners who like they aren't as aggressive on the left and I can do more on the right, and it's like we're doing pretty well. And then the inverse, where sometimes my partner on the left is really aggressive, and then I can take more of that backseat of being more your counter, make balls, and I'm cool with that too.
What do you look for in strategy when you're playing on the right?
Strategy, I mean, it's a lot of the head-to-head matchup. It's like who's in front of you, can you get them on a flick? Are they going to speed up off the bounce? How are you like ready for counters? And like also, how comfortable are you dinking cross with the other right side guy? Like if it's a lefty, it's normally a lot easier. I kind of like dinking my forehand into someone's backhand. I feel like that's a pretty favorable matchup versus like if it's forehand to forehand, it's like you just kind of have to see like little things. Like it's all matchup based, I'd say.
What do you look for as far as strategy with your partner? How can you be like up in the right side role? How can you be a good right side teammate for the left side player?
I'd say, I mean, to an extent, it's the similar on both roles. I think first and foremost is more about being high energy and a good teammate. Like taking all the strategy aside, I think if you have high energy and you guys are clicking as chemistry wise, things feel better and you're not going to be afraid to go for the right shots even if you miss. Versus if there's no communication, there's no high energy, you guys barely talk, it's like you might not go for the right ball if it's high because you're like, no, I just on the right, I want to just make balls, like be consistent. Versus sometimes, especially with my length, I can reach in a lot more than a lot of guys, so I can go for flicks and counters and stuff that other people who aren't as tall like can't really do. So it gives people another look.
That's sweet. Coming from tennis, and you're used to like the rule set and everything in tennis, and then you come into a sport like pickleball where it's somewhat similar. Yeah. What rules would you change about pickleball?
The overhead push-off rule. I hate that at the kitchen line. I think obviously the kitchen rules, that's like pickleball forever, but I think the push-off on the overhead is my least favorite rule by far. I feel like it's kind of just a natural movement, which it's like to undo the wiring. I mean, it's a smart shot because like when people throw blobs, half the time the overhead's put away, but they call a footfall. So I think that is nice when you're the one throwing up the lob, but also really pisses you off when you're hitting the overhead. And then you're like, crap. Because I know that one, I've had that happen to me a few times. I thought I won the point with the overhead, and the ref's like, footfall. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm in no man's land. I'm like, no, you pushed off. I'm so far away, and I drag my foot. Because that's the thing, it's if you drag your toe off the kitchen line, like some refs won't call it and some won't. So yeah, I think that's probably the one rule I definitely dislike.
Yeah. Dude, you've had sweet last few months, like the MLP, Salt Lake City. You subbed in for the Mad Drops. Was that your first MLP?
So first MLP was Grand Rapids, the mid-season tournament. That was also with LA Mad Drops.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So you have LA was the first team I was ever, or first MLP event. And then played 3 with them: Grand Rapids, Salt Lake, Kansas City.
I think it's really interesting to see when people get subbed in and when there are trades at this point in MLP, and how some players can make it up to Premier without going into Challenger. What do you think you did to stand out as an athlete and an asset to any team at the Premier level?
I think, it was a lot of luck. I'll be honest. I think it's a lot of right place, right time, where a lot of the players that probably would have been called before me, they were on Challenger teams and whatnot. So I don't know entirely what the substitute rules are about calling someone up from Challenger, because I know that's a plausible solution a lot. But yeah, I think it was a lot of, I had done decent on the right side with some partners before, and yeah, I think they were looking for the mid-season tournament, someone to play the right with Hunter, and yeah, and someone who I can play mixed. I feel like a bigger guy, it's easier to play mixed well usually. So I think I got a little bit of a, let's say, a lottery kind of pick. Like, if it works out, great. If not, mid-season tournament didn't even affect the team's like overall ranking anyways. So I think they were kind of rolling the dice on me, like right place, right time.
Yeah, it's not always easy for people to get an opportunity and make the most out of it. I think it's actually pretty rare. Like I've said that about Augie. I think he's done such a good job of making the most out of his opportunity. Like, he got the opportunity, and then it's only been kind of uphill from there.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think like you got that with the Mad Drops. You played 2 seasons. I don't know what they call it, like 2 events.
Yeah.
You played 2 events with them. What do you think you did to get that, I guess, if you want to say, like a renewal in another second opportunity with them?
I was a little shocked because Grand Rapids, I went 0-4. So, I was very happy, obviously. I think I did a good job just bringing good energy. I think that's one thing I always just keep preaching. It's like high energy, like talking to yourself, like pumping up your teammates, because it's very similar MLP to college tennis, where it's even when you're off the court, like you still have a job to do, like whether it's cheering, being loud, bringing energy, like, and I think that helps so much in the sense of like, people keep making like jokes, like when I didn't even realize I did this during MLP, was I'd do like this pointing thing looking at like the bench and then I was like not even aware of it at first, but it's like me just kind of looking at the bench, like, because I like keeping a dialogue between like me and the guys off the bench, and like used to do in tennis too, where it's like just constant dialogue between me and like whoever the coach is on our court. It's like that was always the downfall of an individual sport. You're by yourself, so anytime I could talk to people, I loved it. So I think that was bringing high energy was big. And then I think we had a tough match in Grand Rapids against the New York team. I think they're called the Hustlers. Yeah, that was Jack Sock and CJ Klinger. Hunter and I, we had a match point. I think it was 24-23. And yeah, we had a couple of good chances. We had the overall match went to a dream breaker. Yeah, tough one. But yeah, I think a couple of matches like that, was able to compete and fight well, even though I wasn't able to win, was like helped. Yeah. I think just like showing that I wasn't really afraid of the moment, which I was on the inside, but I was able to not show it. So that's always huge. It's kind of like believing yourself and just kind of just staying in there and competing. I think fighting is the biggest thing. Like, as long as you can compete, you can keep things competitive, or like keep yourself in the match.
That's awesome, because you turned it around in the next event. Well, it's a team sport, or it is a team event, so I'm not just crediting entirely you. You obviously have great teammates too, but for someone who's only played with the team for one event prior, and I don't think any of them live locally to you, right?
No.
Yeah, so there's also, that's a factor too, so you're not constantly practicing with them. Can you talk about that event? You you guys swept the Dallas Flash. Sorry, guys. But
Sorry, Ed. No, I mean, that was actually a dream match. So the first match that day was against the Arizona Drive. And then we got a little bit rocked. I think it was a 1-3. I can't remember if our ladies pulled out that first match. I think they did. But I know we kind of just came up with a game plan after the match against the Drive. And then we just kind of stuck to it. I think everything clicked for us, and I think the Flash had a good match earlier that day. And I think they were probably still riding a little bit of a high. So it's kind of almost the inverse. They're riding a little bit of a high. We're more of a little bit of a down, but like wanted something to prove. So I think it was kind of more of a great scenario for us. And then, but yeah, we played well. I mean, everyone on the team like did their job so well. Like Hunter, Catherine played amazing. Jade's always, I mean, I still this day don't think I've seen Jade miss a ball. I would always joke, like every time I'd be like hitting with her, I'm like, oh my God, my forearm's gonna cramp before she misses every time.
They don't miss.
They
man.
don't miss. She's allergic to missing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Obviously, one like element to any pickleball player's career, I think the paddle and sponsorships play a big role too.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like your weapon of choice.
Yes.
And those guys sent me a paddle. I was telling everyone.
Bad boy.
Yeah. I got sent that paddle. And I was like, this is legit.
No, it's amazing. I love this paddle.
Anytime a new paddle comes on the market, you're just like, well, I don't know anything about it, and if no one's talked about it, there's just no information on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, tell me about how you got like into the deal. I'm always like very interested in the sponsorships side as well, but you got into the deal, but you also, I imagine, helped with the design of the paddle as well. So yeah, just tell me all about that.
No, totally. I mean, yeah, so when Chris first came to me about Versix, I was super interested and excited. He's like, we wanted you a part of the team. Like, here's a couple of paddles to try. And just kind of messing around with it, I was like, we're on to something. This was a really good paddle to begin with. And like, yeah, I mean, it's only gotten better since. And this paddle is really good. I mean, I love blue is one of my favorite colors. So when I saw the blue, I liked it. I made sure, I was like, blue matches a lot of the other blue I wear. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, this paddle, it's got a great sweet spot. It's really forgiving as well, which was huge for me because I think the paddle I came from before had a ton of power, which I loved. But I think for my game style, I can generate enough power on my own that I think it was actually really nice to complement more of what I would say is not a weakness, but not my strength of having the soft game, as I'd always said earlier. It's something that's still developing. This just made it easier to sharpen it up real quick.
Yeah.
Like a little thicker, it's at 15 millimeters, which I think really helped with resets, drops, and just a softer paddle felt more natural for the doubles game for me.
Yeah, that's sweet. What you always kind of hear this, people are always like, who's this paddle for? It's like control and the power, and it could be like all court, or maybe it could be for a tennis player, a pickleball player, a racquetball player. They always have all those different inputs. What do you think the paddle's for?
I'd say, I mean, the generic answer is everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone always says that. I think this is realistic, though, a paddle. I mean, one, at the price point, it's no better paddle on the market, 100%. And I think it's a paddle you can really use from, like, people always use the corny line of from, is it like 3.0 to pro?
Yeah.
And this is a paddle, though, even though that's the slogan, it's really true. I think this paddle can take you from first starting off rec play. Like, if I were to hand this paddle to like one of my friends who's never played pickleball, they would be like, oh shoot, this is like a really good paddle.
Yeah.
And then on the inverse, I'm able to use it in MLP and PPA. So it's like, it's hanging at both levels, which I think is huge. And I think the long handle is huge for tennis players. I think a lot of tennis players will like the fact that it has Genie on it. I think it's a pretty cool touch where it's like Wimbledon finalist, all she did in the game of tennis. It's kind of like seeing a pro tennis player kind of coming over to pickleball and having like their own paddle. It's like a stamp of credibility. Like if there was a Sam Querrey paddle, or I know Selkirk has a Jack Sock paddle. It's like if Franklin were to use a Sam Querrey paddle, that probably would have been my first paddle ever. Like I remember looking and I was like, when I first got into pickleball, first thing I Googled, what pickleball paddle does Sam Query
Are you
use?
serious?
Yeah.
Man, people don't put enough respect on that guy, huh?
Yeah, no, I mean, Sam, he's the most underrated guy in pickleball. I mean, yeah, just beware. I mean, he's going to talk some smack. I mean, he's also one of the funniest guys in pickleball. So, I mean, he's a really nice guy.
So his tennis career, was he like?
Oh, he was sick.
Oh,
All of them, like
damn.
him, I mean, Jack Sock, also sick. Jeannie, obviously. I mean, I think all of them cracked the top 10. Or I know Jeannie, Jack for sure. I think Sam got to 10, I think. 9 or 10. So, yeah, I think all of them, I mean, that was all of the college tennis players. That's probably all of us growing up. That was our dream, and they did it. So it's like looking up to them. It's like before I knew who Ben Johns, Tyson McGuffin, all these people who were on paddles, Zane, and I was like, what pro tennis player did I know that was playing pickleball? I was like, what paddle they use? I was like, that has to be the best one. And I think that is how a lot of people think.
Yeah.
It's like when you're for the converts from tennis to pickle, you're gonna not know who these guys are yet. I think as the sport grows, that will change, but they look to who they know.
Yeah.
Like, I always say like Agassi and the new JOOLA paddle, like that one will do well because it's Andre. Everyone knows Andre. Everyone knows all these, like if Roger Federer came out of the paddle, like that like those kinds of names, I feel like so many people would be like in tune with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because these are household names that everyone knows.
Yeah. And you kind of look at them, you're like, I want to play like that person.
Yes.
You usually associate like who they are with their playing style.
Oh, 100%. Like, I remember my favorite tennis racket growing up was the Roger Federer Pro Staff. Like, I always, like, Roger was one of my favorite players. So, like, I always wanted to play like him, kind of mimic my forehand a little bit like him. And, yeah, I'd always wear, like, Federer clothes, Federer racket. Like,
Really?
just, yeah.
Damn. That guy.
Yeah.
Jeez. Speaking of guys you like look up to and things like that, I know on your social media you've posted Kobe Bryant, but you're also like a native in LA, which Kobe had ties to LA.
Yeah.
Like, what has Kobe Bryant meant to you?
I mean, he was probably my favorite pro athlete of all time. Like, growing up, I was always a Lakers fan, kind of diehard. Like, still this day, they're like my basketball team, always will be. And yeah, I mean, he was super like, I'd always look on YouTube or like Google like Kobe quotes. Like, yeah, he's got so many good ones out there. So like anytime like after a tough loss in tennis, I'd go like, I type in on YouTube Kobe motivational, like stuff like that. You just listen to some of his speeches and stuff, and it's like, even though he was so far out of reach and like so almost godlike, what he was like, he would be able in his speeches and quotes to make things relatable. It felt like. And like stuff like, okay, I can do that, whether it's wake up at 4 a.m. and train, like, even though I don't wake up at 4 a.m. But I don't wake up at 4 a.m. But I don't actually wake up at 4 a.m. I'm not crazy, but yeah, but there's things like that where it's like things become more relatable because of it. It's like he was able to break things down, like his mental process. He's like, why are you nervous? Nervous means that you're not prepared enough. Stuff like that, like things that would make sense. So it made me really look up to a guy like that, even though like I had obviously never met the guy, but yeah. And then yeah, obviously super unfortunate, but yeah, it was someone I just really looked up to like my whole life.
Damn, that's dope. Dude, I'm the same way. I would look up those motivational videos. Yeah. You always saw like Kobe was in those videos, like Mike Tyson, Kobe, and now it's like David Goggins, but you see the Mamba mentality videos. Yes. And I didn't really grow up on basketball. Of course, everyone knew who like Jordan was, right? Yeah. He dominated an entire generation. Yeah. But
no, totally.
I've heard from even my friends, they're like, Kobe has had more of he was a great player. Yeah. But even bigger impact post career. Yeah. Like when he spoke and
as a speaker and all the other stuff he did. Like he had this like children's book series that he was doing, which was all about getting like younger kids into sports. And like, yeah, he did a lot of things post career too, or even his, it was called Dear Basketball, like his little short film. I think it won, what is it called when it's like an Oscar or something? He won some like award that was
really?
Yeah, for it. It was like a short film award.
Damn.
Like, yeah, I mean, he was just a super talented guy. I mean, yeah, super inspirational.
That'd be sick if in the children's book he's like,
Yeah.
you gotta wake up at 4 a.m.
Oh yeah, I think he'd piss off a lot of parents. That book would disappear real quick. I can guarantee you, if that was in my book, my parents would have been like, that book's going away. Or we're waking up. We're not waking up till at least 6:37.
9 hours a day.
Exactly.
Training. I also saw on your social media you met Tim Cook, which Tim wasn't as big of an inspiration for me. It was more Steve Jobs, but they're still pretty closely tied because of the organization they work with, and they've carried some of the sentiment through the years.
Yeah.
How the hell did you meet Tim Cook?
So, I mean, that was a random by chance. I was literally, we were having a match at UCLA against Stanford that day, and we got rained out. And I don't know how, but my mom was at the Apple Store Century City, and Tim Cook was doing like a meet and greet, I guess. And she was just walking by and saw. And then all of a sudden, she was going to take a photo with him for me to send because of our match. But she didn't realize it was raining where we were, so the match had just got canceled. So when she called me, it was literally, and then I picked up the phone and said, hey, Mom, what's up? It was like, hi, Blaine, this is Tim Cook. I was like, no freaking way.
Yep.
And yeah, so pretty much right then and there, I literally sprinted out of our locker room. I skipped the team meeting. Like, we were gonna be like, okay, what are we gonna do? Match is canceled. I literally just bolted. I was like, nah, I'm out of here. Hopped in my car and like drove. I think I was like 90 miles an hour on the street to get there before he left, and just to meet him real quick. But yeah,
That's
awesome.
awesome.
I was always growing up a super nerdy guy. Like, I was lucky enough. I also at like 11 I was 10 or 11 around there. Met Steve Jobs once.
Are you serious?
I was on a vacation in Hawaii with my parents, and he was just on the beach. I mean, obviously he didn't want to be bothered, but like said hi real quick and didn't talk to him. Like, it was very, very brief, but like that was really cool in itself. I remember freaking out about that one. And I remember I was like, Dad, give me your iPhone. Let me show him. And I was like, I showed him the iPhone. I said, oh, I love my iPhone too. And like just talked for like 10 seconds. But I remember thinking it was the coolest thing. Still remember it to this day. And then like Tim Cook as well. Like, two guys, I mean, Apple, as a nerd, I grew up like super nerdy, would watch almost every WWDC live, tune into those all the time. Like, always would do the developer betas of this iOS software updates, Mac OS. Like, I loved all that stuff. I eat it up every year. So it's like, to meet those kinds of guys was like so cool.
Yeah. Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you do when you're not playing?
Honestly, I'm pretty boring when I don't play. I won't lie. Like, I just like hanging out with friends, family.
Yeah.
I'm not really a video game person, but I like TV a lot. Like, big TV
Ooh,
guy.
what are you watching?
I mean, House of Dragons just finished. That was my show for a while. Big Game of Thrones fan, obviously, as well.
Season
in the
6
moment,
was...
in the look for a new show.
Oh, yeah?
Because
have you already seen The Bear?
I have not. The Bear?
Yeah.
I got to check it out.
I was telling Jeannie about that, The Bear.
What's it about?
What's a good way to explain it? Essentially, like the culinary industry to a degree, they dramatize it. There's like a guy, and how can I talk about it without giving too much away? Yeah, it's based out of Chicago, and there's like a family member, and the other family member creates the restaurant, and it goes in. It's very like intense, like drama. It's
okay.
I'm trying to
Without
sell it
spoilers.
Without spoiling it, but also make it sound like as good as it truly is. Like, the acting is great. Every episode, it's just tied. The storyline's like super, super good.
Ooh, so is it on like Netflix, HBO? Hulu. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, I'll check that out.
It's legit.
Yeah. No, definitely big TV watching guy. I mean, yeah, I just like, I definitely am more of a hermit at home. I like my alone time.
Kind of the pro athlete life, honestly.
Like, I always joke because people make fun of me where, like, my place is always pitch black. I want all the curtains covered.
Are you serious?
They always joke like, dude, you're a vampire. And like, I don't want no sunlight at home. I'm like, I want it all dark. And people are like, dude, it's like pitch black. I'm like, yes. They're like, why? I'm like, because I'm out in the sun all day. When I come home, I don't want to see no sun. Like, the perfect day is like a Sunday day off where you wake up and then like only time of the day you see sun is you go for like a nice morning walk into like a coffee shop, get your coffee, walk home, and then you hibernate all day, and then it's pitch black curtains, and you don't see any sunlight.
And the next time you see sunlight is when you open the door for your Uber Eats.
Oh yeah, exactly. Pretty much. Exactly. And it's like you wait, open the door, it's like the sunlight. You kind of try to quickly just put your arm out there. Don't have actually any sun hit your body. Grab it, snatch it, close the door.
Damn.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't live without sunlight. I'm already getting freaked out. There's no sunlight on this entire floor.
No, for sure. I think if I wasn't always in the sun so much, it wouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's because like both tennis and pickleball are definitely more outdoor sports.
Definitely.
Which, yeah, you're always in the sun. I feel like now I'm always like, I think people who go tanning are crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah, to me, I always think people who go tanning. I think also just Asian culture. It's always been like, oh, you don't tan.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it's like I always had my mom like chirping in my ear. I'm like, you're so tan. Like, go wear some more sunscreen, blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, I think I've just all of that got ingrained.
Is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to talk about? It could be anything, dude.
Honestly, not really. I feel like that was everything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
thanks for being a guest on the
of course.
podcast, man.
No, thank you. This was a blast.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All
Well,
right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Where can
Yeah.
people actually find out more about you?
The best place would probably be Instagram. That's at Blaine Hov. So BLAINE HOV. It's simple, just kind of abbreviated of my last name. But yeah, feel like I'm not great at the whole social media in terms of TikTok and everything else, but I try to do a decent job at Instagram. I'm not great, but I'm working on it. But yeah,
All right.
I feel like that's kind of the nature of as the sport develops, it's going to be like something that everyone just has to get better with.
Any social media or content creators in Dallas, you want to work
Yes.
with Blaine?
Hit me up.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so
Hell
much.
yeah, dude.
Yeah. Thank you so much, bro.
Dude, thank you.